another organization that I am coordinating some of the work they are doing, and I'm here. So, except you have outclassed what I did today. Happy New Year, young people. We're getting there. You're like 10% out of 100. But we'll get there. Happy New Year, young people. 55%. Happy New Year, young people. Are you sure it didn't go back by 5%? All right. Thank you so much to the leadership. And I am most delighted to be here. When I was contacted to speak in this capacity, first for me, it's always a thing of honor and pleasure to be called upon to share on subject matters that over time God has helped me and granted me exposure to experience, sometimes directly, sometimes indirectly. The one of leadership has been, I would say, a living experience for me every day. And I hope that after my time with you today, for both the morning and the evening session, you would see leadership as a living reality for you every day. And why this is important is because for so long, there have been scenarios where the definition of leadership has been boxed to be unlocked at certain spaces. So it is assumed that you can decide to be the reckless child at home and only be responsible in school. Or the one who doesn't have to make his bed, but when he comes in a place like this, he's forced to clean. But you understand as we communicate together that leadership is a living reality for you. And that's the first lesson I want you to hold on. I've been asked to speak on preparing for leadership, responsibility, and influence. And I have a question for you. And my sessions are usually very engaging. Between the person who is the class monitor, and class monitor is popular in primary school, so in secondary school we say class captain. So between the person who is the class captain and who is walking through this hall, let's say this is a classroom, sees a trash that someone messed up the place with, and there's a trash can by the side, and walks past it. And the person who is just a member of the class, who is walking past and was not the one that messed up that place, but picks it up and trashes it. Who amongst them is a leader? What? The one that picks the trash? Any other school of thought? All of them are leaders. The other one is the class captain, remember? He was endorsed. That title is on his forehead. Class captain. If you make noise, you write your name. Yes? But the other one is also a leader who is without a title, but is actually a greater leader because he's taking responsibility. That is the premise I want to also build on. So when you talk about leadership, when you talk about responsibility, when you talk about influence, they are very, very connected. And why should we start to think about this as we grow through life? And I'm aware that my audience is varying into secondary school students. Secondary school, wave to me. Where were you in 2008? If you were alive in 2008, that's when I left secondary school. Yes. And you know, in this whole country, there are only 2 schools. Federal Government College, Vandikia, and others. So, if you are amongst those, then welcome to the club. So, how many of you are in the university? Where were you in 2017? Secondary school, ba? That's when I also left the university. How many of you are job seekers? You're looking for a job. You're looking for employment. And I pray that this year, God will open doors. Some of you have jobs, I know, and you're looking for upgrade. And God will grant you that acceleration. But that is just one side of the story. And you understand why it is as we go on. How many of you are, I've talked about job seekers. How many of you are employed? Okay. How many of you are business owners? So you see, I have a very sweet blend of audience this morning. And you must first purport in your mind what lesson you want to take out of this. Because my philosophy about speaking is this. I speak to one man. When I come and I see an audience, I speak to one person. So what I've done in defining this audience is that when I speak, find the lesson in it for you. So that at the end of the day, you can recollect and say, for me, this is the one that I'm taking home. So why is it really important for us to pay attention to this conversation of leadership? Because first, the world is not as we used to know it. The challenges that we are confronted with today are unprecedented. So we cannot afford to sit and wait for a selected few, like the class monitor in my example, who, despite acknowledging the problems that are existing, would choose to ignore. We must all agree that if there's a path forward for us as a nation, then we cannot only sit and wait for the leaders that we elected. We must also actively play a role in making that a reality. This is also important because more than ever, there is an acute shortage of leaders. True leaders. Not the ones who have maybe marked themselves and been elected into office and then were seeing different things. Not the ones who say they must be acknowledged that they are leaders before they give any result. But the silent ones who in their own space also understand the power of influence and are willing to be able to make a difference. Because you see, in this world that we live in, everything rises and falls on the quality of leadership. It is also to say that the quality of leadership will define how far we are going to advance in life. Now, this is not to say that the leader must be the smartest person in the room. Leadership is first and foremost a thing of the mind. And that is why at every time T, you must realize that whatever you're going to become in life is going to be measured on the unit level of your mind. So that is why the mind is the standard of every man. So if your mind truly cannot conceive anything, if someone says it's possible, all you're going to see is impossibility. So we have a shortage in the quality of leaders that we have. And that is why we must take this conversation very seriously. And we need to also know too that leadership begins before titles. And that's why I talk about the idea of a leader without a title. When you wake up and you decide to make your bed, it's leadership. When you wake up and you decide to greet someone, or you plan your day, or show an act of kindness, it's leadership. Because how many of us can sit as the president of Nigeria part-time out of over 230 million people? One person. One person. How many of us can be governors part-time in a state? One person. How many of us can be local government chairman part-time? One. So what happens to the rest of us? So eventually you realize that in a population of 100%, less than 1% effectively sits on. Because total all of the leaders from the president to, I'm talking elected, to the governors, to the House of Reps, to the senators, they don't amount to over 1% of our population. So are we now going to consciously surrender our faith to them? Yes and no. Yes, because the Constitution puts in their hands some level of authority to administer. And that is why we say when you are handed leadership that is entrusted because someone voted for you, it's a trust. That is why they say, do not betray it. Then what do we do for the rest of us? Now we must find our place. Are you that business owner? Are you that student in the class who is studying to graduate? Are you that employer of labor? Are you that employee who is helping advance a vision or a mission of a company? You must be clear across all of these blocks where you fall in part-time. And leadership also evolves. You are that student today does not mean tomorrow you're no longer, you're not in a different capacity. So it's important for you to understand that you do not stay in a static place and maintain the same standards over time. It changes. And when you understand that, you also know too that leadership also is not about age and status. You remember the story of Job? How he was afflicted, his 3 friends came. Everyone was, telling him how much he has done wrong, that he's been afflicted, and how he was also proclaiming his self-righteousness, how he went into a debate with God, and there was one young man amongst them. Throw me his name. Who? Bible students. There was somebody in that audience. The guy was quiet. He was just listening as they were. So, Job later won the debate with his friends. They even apologized. But there was one young man that was there. Give me a name. Confidence. Come and take the mic and give me a name. Come and take a mic and give me a name. Is there a second mic? Or I want somebody to come forward and give me the name. I heard it. But you know the thing about chorus answers? You cannot account for it. So own it. That you're coming to give me an answer? Okay.
Praise the Lord. His name was Elihu. He was the youngest.
Thank you very much. The guy was in that audience. He saw how Job bested his friends and like they had nothing else to say. And the guy was like, are you people really saying that Job is even more than God? That he can continue defending his self-righteousness? I sat quiet because, when we were growing up, they told us that as you people are getting older, that's how your wisdom is increasing too. But you people who seem to be disproving this fact now with what you have done with Job. But this is what I've realized. That it is the breath of the Almighty in a man that does what? That does what? That does what? That was the measure of it. So that you're small or that you're young is not a standard to say that you're not qualified. And let me tell you something. Youthfulness is an era of consequence, good or bad. Who goes to wars? Is it our grandfathers? When they are fighting wars now, they are sending people. Is it our grandfathers that go or young people? Go through history from the 1960s in Nigeria. Our leaders who changed the systems were in their 20s and their 30s. Correct? Go through history for those who fought for the independence of Africa. Whether you're talking about Nkrumah, whether you're talking about Tafawa Balewa, whether you're talking about Haile Selassie in Ethiopia, call all their names. They were young. So you are at a critical point where you must not make the mistake of deferring the responsibility of leadership to anyone. So it has nothing to do with your age. It also has nothing to do with your status. And you'll be understanding it as we go. And leadership, like I said, it's a daily practice. Why is it important for you to understand it from that prism? It's not a book where you close before you open the next day. It's a life journey. It's not something where you show up when you want to and then turn off the lights when you don't want to. And that is why leadership sometimes is most inconvenient when you are in that place where you need to show up, when you need to deliver, when expectations are ahead of you. So the first question you must ask yourself this morning is, what expectations first do I have for myself? And what expectations do others have for me? The one that I asked first matters most because it talks about self-awareness. A leader that is not self-aware will amount to nothing. Because you must be able to size up your environment. You must be able to understand where the direction of life is going, both for you and for the environment. You must be able to know when it makes sense for you to shift gears. You know, you learn something today and you say, for me, oh, this is how it's done. Even though overwhelming evidence has shown that we have moved past that stage, you're not an effective leader. Then you must know what the expectations of others are about you. Why do you think Jesus, in all of his power, still wanted to know what others were saying about him? And when he asked his disciples, they gave several answers. Then Peter gave one. And then he said, flesh and blood didn't what? Reveal that to you. So there is that responsibility about you to yourself to at every time know what your expectations are about yourself and what those expectations are about you from others too. What really do people say about you? Others will call it what is when the word comes I will use it. But it's about how do others see me? Good. What is your reputation? It's, reputation is external. Like what, they said some things about me. You search me online, information will come out that you read. That is my reputation. But you must do the internal work as a person to be able to ensure that the reputation that is reflected outside is the same one that is inside. For some, we have like 5 different reputations. It depends on the audience we are speaking to. It shouldn't be so. And that is why you must first take care of what is happening inside before we talk about what is happening outside. I'll go on. And I've said it already, that you must think about leadership beyond titles. A lot of us think that the only reason why we're not contributing to anything at all is because we don't carry a title. So we think it doesn't matter. But eventually in life, it is those who are able to support a vision after they have caught the fire that do the work most. Because the responsibility of that leader with that title is to cast the vision. Today, as I was introduced, as founder of Earth Connect, yes, I've casted a vision. But I have a team of people who are driving these processes, and most times it might seem as if the glory comes back to me. But they are really the ones driving the process behind the scene. So your role in the leadership journey is so important that you have no choice than to understand clearly how you can be able to fit in that grand scheme of things. And how does it then matter for you, and how do you find places for you as a young person to be able to find expression and demonstrate that capacity that God has domiciled in you? And this is talking about finding opportunities to express leadership. I talked about your immediate spaces. You see, there's something about track record that we downplay in our lives. We feel like, I want that big break. You see, no matter how big your vision is in this life, you must have the humility to start small. This space where you are occupying today, I am sure that it's possible that the first conference here didn't hold in this hall. It was maybe in a different location. Maybe next day when we come, this place is plastered, roofed. That is progress. But if you have a vision to feed 1 million people and you say, well, I don't have the money to do 1 million, so I will not do anything. If eventually someone finds you and is interested in investing in that vision, the first question that will come out is, what have you done so far? And the man without a track record is the one to be avoided. Because I see an error in our generation, which is the error of trying at all costs to appease an audience. I call it the audience of the crowd. And let me tell you the lesson of the crowd. The crowd is accountable to no one. You go on social media, you see young people. So for some of them, you know them. And when you see them on social media, you're like, am I missing something? So for somebody who you know that this lifestyle this person is portraying in terms of affluence, he's nowhere close to it. So what are you showing? So for someone who should position as someone who needs help, has already shown social media that I don't need help. So how do you reconcile that? So you must have that humility to seek for opportunities that avail you the time frame to build a track record. When Saul asked about David, in terms of what have you done, you are going to face Goliath. He had a track record to show. Well, when I'm with the sheep in the bush or in the desert or wherever, and the bear and the lion show up, I'll be able to tackle them. So, dear young man, where is your track record of leadership? Are you going to say that while I've been aspiring to get employment in this space, I've been volunteering with XYZ organization? Or you will say that you don't want to go and allow anybody to use you? Because you cannot separate leadership from service. What I said I did in North Bank, I was not paid for it. But when you understand that it is service that opens doors for what you're seeking, it gives you a different perspective entirely. So you must aggressively seek out opportunities to serve. Because leadership will not just be domiciled on you. Because the thing is, part of the disaster of leadership today is that a lot of people have sought opportunities for which they did not prepare themselves for. And young people, I'll tell you this. Any opportunity that you seek out that you're not prepared for will destroy you. It will destroy you both in the immediate and in the long term. If you pose online as somebody who is a great graphics designer, not somebody who is looking to learn how to design graphics, and I hire you, and you're able to deliver, except I have amnesia, I will never forget you. I know that for this one, I will never engage again. And because the world we live in is very connected, it is possible that somebody else will go and see you. And somehow conversations will come and continue till they will mention that I met this guy and I need him to design for me. And then maybe because you didn't do a good job, I'm still looking for a designer too. And I'll say, okay, oh, really? Who is the person? And then they'll mention it. I say, forget that one. So your incompetence, which is caused by your unwillingness to learn, but demonstrate a fake capacity, would now cost you in the long term, because in every circle that you show up in, that the people that I have known that you could not deliver on, the answer will always be, this one, he cannot deliver. So instead of moving around trying to paint the illusion of being an ocean, you know what an ocean is? An ocean is both wide and very deep, and that's why ships are able to sail on it. So a lot of us have been demonstrating an illusion of being an ocean, when in reality, what we are is a stream. Our depth is just to the knee. So I can literally step in and walk. But what you made me, that attracted me to you, is that I felt you were an ocean. I thought you had depth. I thought you had expertise. So instead of being in a hurry to show yourself, go and build in silence. These are the opportunities that you seek and you'll be able to use to demonstrate our leadership. So here are these things that you must pay attention to. Self-discipline. There's nothing convenient about building capacity. There's nothing convenient about it. It requires for you to do the hard things. How many of you have tried losing weight? You feel like you're overweight and you want to lose it. Anyone? Oh, all of us are slim and fit. Good. But I'll tell you, the jogging is not exciting. The pulling of weight is not exciting. The treadmill is not exciting. And that is why, for many, they want to use shortcuts. And you want to buy medication to stay fit. Eventually, we know that it doesn't help. So self-discipline is an essential ingredient in leadership. And precisely self-leadership. Because a man who cannot lead himself has no business in attempting to lead others. The next is emotional intelligence. An emotionally intelligent leader is the one that realizes that people are different. And because people are different, they have to be handled differently. I am introverted by nature, meaning that I naturally would thrive in a very quiet environment that doesn't have any distraction. But the minute I stepped on the pedestal of leadership, I realized that whether I like it or not, I needed to improve on myself. So when I hear people say, me, that's how they gave birth to me, or me, I'm like that. In our family, that's how we do it too. Us, if you talk to us, we will talk back to you. And you proudly say it. And I'm just sitting there, I'm saying, Kai, this one, he or she has a long way to go. So emotional intelligence in leadership teaches you to understand people and also engage them where they are. So it means that you need to self-reflect and say, what are those things that I need to do away as a person to ensure that I function effectively with others? If in your own space, if you're not greeted, you don't greet, you cannot function in leadership. And in fact, once you step out of your space and you say, I want to be a leader over others, you're also saying that I want to accommodate everyone, not lord over others. Another one is also learning from failure. Leadership comes with a lot of failure episodes. You know, if you're watching a series, some of them will have like 50 episodes, one season. That's how failure is. But it is not something that should deter you. It is not something that you should avoid. I see people avoid failure. They see, and I'm not saying that deliberately set yourself in the path of failure, no. I'm saying that it is part of the equation as far as success is concerned. Because it is said that the one who has not failed has not tried. Think about the time you started learning how to walk. Or the time you see a baby attempting to walk. I have a boy he's getting to 9 months. And I see how he's crawling. He has not started attempting to stand yet. But there was once upon a time, even sitting, I saw the attempts of how he would just want to move and then he just rolls over and he falls in the bed. Think about the time you attempted riding a bicycle. How many times did you peel your knees? Think about the time you attempted learning how to bake. I like using this example. You know, the first time I tried turning semolina, this semovita, I read the instructions. I'm telling you, there were 5 of them. I boiled the water till heating point and it was boiling. I poured it. They said I should stir small. I did. The thing didn't form. And I had bragged about how I was going to make the best semolina. But now if I turn it for you, you will like it. The journey from that point where I made my first error to when now I'm doing it well. So do not attempt to pick out all of those elements. And to parents too, stop safeguarding your children against failure. Stop. Do your part where you put them on the right path and let them understand that failure is an incident that is one of the pathways they will cross as they are going through life. Stop making them feel that if you have failed, it's like a plague. No, it's not. What did Edison tell us about the lesson of the light bulb that people are using now to project? What did Michael Jordan talk about in terms of making his shots? What did Usain Bolt tell us about learning how to run in 9 seconds? So this success we see is the external outcome. The work, most times, no one sees it. If I'm trying to make a pitch, Dear Lord, you don't know how many rounds I go. Then you come and see a perfect or near perfect 5 minutes video and you're like, Omo Shadrach and Picho. You didn't know what went behind the scene with preparation. So I am not saying do not admire successful people. But let me tell you what you should do more. Find out what their story is. Don't be this person who just sees people and if you like them, you're like, I like how this guy looks. And if you don't like them, you now start saying, I know this one. He's a thief. He stole it. No. Be that leader that moves through life with a curiosity mindset, not a judgmental one. Because the lesson that you should learn in life sometimes is sitting next to you. But because of you dress better than him or her, you will not ask that question. People are assets. And as leaders, you must master the ability to engage them at that level. And you must embrace uncertainty, which is closely linked to failures. They told you you are going to have a session like this. I'm not sure you knew it was me. None of you can guarantee how your day is going to end today. But one thing you must always try to hold account for is your attitude towards whatever circumstances life presents you. So instead of safeguarding against uncertainty, embrace it. What does it teach you? Okay, because they told you that the only way to be able to achieve a particular objective is like this. And then going through it, you saw that there are several other ways you will say no, since they didn't mention it. No. Bring your creativity to the table. That is what makes the experience all the better. So, again, our world is increasingly superficial. Increasingly because everyone now wants to show him or herself. So, in terms of building capacity, instead of you to focus in a quiet room and invest in yourself so that you become that go-to person for something, you first focus on showing that this is who you are when, like I said, you are a stream, yet you are forcing us all to believe that you are an ocean. So what will get the attention eventually for when you are called to the table is the skill set that you bring. Not all of the English you have spoken. And in fact, I tell people that, I told you that there are only 2 secondary schools in Nigeria. What and what? Let me see those that are following me. Federal Government College, Vanica and others. So they taught me English there well. So what I say when someone is speaking is that, I went to a good secondary school. So you can't even confuse me with English. Go straight to the point. Because you have said all the things you have said. Fluency and good articulation does not translate to intelligence. My brothers and sisters, please know it. No one should come and confuse you with good English. When they are done, ask them, what can you do? I've heard you. Nice articulation, nice accent. What can you do? So you must invest in building skill sets. And what skill sets should matter? The ones that are relevant to the era you are in. Imagine going to go and invest in learning how to type using a typewriter. We don't care whether you come out as a professor in it. That era has gone. So the skill sets that you must focus on, whether soft or technical, are those that hold relevance to yourself and to the environment that you seek to serve. Because we don't build skills to use them ourselves. If I want to open a restaurant, I will not be cooking for myself. So you must always have the mindset of how does this serve others? That is what you're going to be able to bring out. So ask yourself, what is that skill set I need to learn in 2026 that will make me stand out? Then, values. I also see a generation where a lot of young people are talented, yet the value system's broken. I have engaged young people to do some tasks for me, midway stories. And you see, the problem is not that people who trust you with responsibilities don't know that you will encounter challenges. The problem is that you yourself either predetermined to be dishonest from the get-go, or you lack the requisites of effective communication where you share a journey as it progresses. And all of those things, you learn them under people. So you are that smart guy who thinks you know everything in the world, and you have said, I don't want anybody to use me. So you refuse to submit to leadership or mentorship. And you carry your intelligence and you're going. You will make a lot of mistakes in your life that mentorship would have prevented. So in being competent, build a strong value system. Can your currency, you see, money, as important as money is, it is the least currency. I'm not wealthy yet, but I'll get there. But I'm telling you from my modest experience, money, naira and kobo, dollar, euro, pounds, dinar is the least in the hierarchy of currencies. The one that is standing number one there is your social currency. What doors can your mouth open? Let me share a quick story. 4 days ago, we have this investment we're working on, and we had a bit of a setback. So we're looking at ways to be able to raise a deficit of, for the transparency of this conversation, I'll share the amount. The deficit was about 4 million. And I was having this conversation with my senior friend who is also part of the process. He had lived up to his own part of the bargain, but we're just talking about how we because of this challenge, we're going to have some delays. The next question is, so Doc, how much did you say we need? As I was talking to him, he was on his app. Before I ended that conversation, the money was in my account. Why does someone feel like, for this one, I can back him? And let me tell you something exciting. In this world, who likes you matters. Forget about those that don't like you. Forget about anybody that doesn't like you. I'm not saying ignore them. Don't put your attention there. But in this world, who likes you matters. Somebody who says, I am committed to seeing you succeed, they will go to any length in this world to make it happen. So, what doors can your reputation, can your social capital open? And you might be saying, who am I? I'm just that young chap. No. In your immediate circle like this, if I call your friends and we talk about you, how many of them will agree that, yes, let's give this one the money? When you people gather and you're doing contribution, why is it that it's always you? They say, let's hand it to him or her. Why is it you that they say, I beg, let our money not go to that one? It's a message. Are you picking it? So, values will take you far. Because, you see, competence. I pray that those of you who are in the universities, if you can, graduate with your first class. But hear me. The world goes to a point where there's a limit to where your certificate will take you. There's a limit to where your competence will take you. Do you know what unlocks the next level? Relationships. So there's that thing, that opportunity that is there, that they have seen all of the CVs and all of them are qualified. And they are looking for that person who will say, is this one? Give the guy the job and go and sleep. And then that door opens. So if you have been burning bridges and saying that it doesn't matter, my destiny is not in your hands, it's in the person's hands, though. Because God will not come down and do it. He's going to do it through men. Another quick story. 2019, 2020. I'm usually very active on Twitter, now X. And we're having a conversation around the elections at the time. And then a young lady came under my post, under my tweet. And now said, these media boys that they paid them, they just come online, unrelated, I've never met her in my life. And then she came and dropped this comment. I said, have I offended this girl before? So I don't know what entered my head. I now screenshotted that comment. 2 days after, I was coordinating a program to select participants for the program in Benue State. So you know how you have sent emails and people are joining a group and then you just want to see the people that have joined so far. Then I saw this this DP. I've seen this picture somewhere. Where is this? It now clicked. Because she plays basketball, so she had the same DP. So I went back on Twitter, confirmed the picture, came back on WhatsApp. I went into her DM and I pushed the screenshot I saved. And I said, you see, this world is very small. This program now, I think you applied for it because it matters to you. Now you're in my hand like this. I can eject you off this program. Nothing will happen. But I will not. Because if I eject you, that's a normal thing that should be expected. And because I would assume that in character you are deficient. But this should serve as an example for you. Social media is not a leveler. Somebody you're seeing with DP with short knicker does not mean that you will go and insult. You will insult a door that will close on you permanently. And when people are invested in ensuring that you don't cross a path, they will go to an extent. So, secure your reputation against all odds. Because, like I said, even though who doesn't like you doesn't matter, it does not mean that I cannot come back to bite you. I might like you, but if it's who doesn't like you shows me a side of you I don't know, the matter is closed. So, values. And very closely linked to that is your reputation and your integrity. Can I trust you with resources? Remember, I was still talking about leadership. And these things I'm telling you is not for somebody else, for you. Can I trust you with resources? Can I hand this thing and be happy? I lead projects for people aside from my core responsibilities. And sometimes I sit in rooms and I'm asking myself, do you know, somebody will tell you information, unsolicited information, and you're asking yourself, what did this man see in me that he's sharing this thing with me like this? It's the information that if you drop it outside, it will be colossal. Yet, they will say, come, enter the room. You stood up to go. They will say, no, sit down. I want you to hear. They're not asking you anything, no. They're not asking you to contribute. But why are they exposing you to it? Integrity. So if you're building competence and ignoring values and ignoring integrity, it will bite you. Because as long as you're not going to work in isolation, even crooks don't want to work with crooks. I hope you know. Yes. So build and guard it. So you must learn as a young person to show up even when it's not convenient. Why is this important? It's important because if you are doing anything that is great in this world, there's nothing convenient about it. It's a lot of sacrifices, especially when you're volunteering. But it pays off. You see, I say that I have never approached an assignment because of what I will get out of it. I approach assignments because of the contribution I can make to such an assignment. But let me tell you the unwritten reward. Your reward is buried in your service. And you must learn to identify it. Sometimes it's immediate. Sometimes it's long term. Let me tell you where most young people get disappointed. They come with preconceived notions. I heard that they're going to share XYZ. And then you come, they didn't share. Instead of connecting with the people that were there, you go home angry. 2 years down the line, others who connected have moved on. So never approach service or any responsibility for that matter because of what you want to get out of it. I'm not saying that it's not relevant. I'm saying that if your journey starts and stops with that, it is very easy to spot. That's why by default, I avoid transactional people. If the only thing that will connect me and you is that after this, collect and go. No, I nurture relationships. So it matters to me every time I know that this is what I can be able to contribute, and beyond this, we can build forward. And that is why I also encourage young people. Learn to evolve through systems. Stop exiting places and closing doors because you think for that stage you don't need them again. People will meet tomorrow. There are organizations that don't actively play roles today, but when they want to be able to do something impactful, they'll reach out and say, Doc, we want to hear your opinion. We need you to help us review this. Can you be part of this project? Sometimes it is not even directly with them. They would say, okay, if you're coming into Benue and you need XYZ, reach out to Dr. Shedrack. Imagine if those doors were closed. So don't be in a hurry to close doors, and always learn to show up even when it's inconvenient. Learn to do things even when no one is watching, and do them rightly. And that's what matters most. It's one of the highest tests of characters. Why is it important? You will know from your heart of hearts that if I can do this, if I can pick that thing and throw it away even when no one is there to applaud, then it's something I can even do even when everyone is watching. So always, even if no one is watching, do right by yourself. Then learn too that responsibility is the currency of leadership. Yes. What is leadership without responsibility? What is leadership without you saying that I want to be able to contribute meaningfully? Every one of you have contributed one or the other to make this conference happen. Without this audience, I can't stand here to speak. But do you also know that you have also taken responsibility to be here? Are you the only young people in Benue State or in Makurdi? No. So as you move through life, that's why I said it is a living responsibility. You sleep, you wake up, you wake into it. And we need to look at failure differently. I highlighted it earlier. But this is to nail it down to say it is your learning opportunity. The 10,000 hour principle says that for you to perfect anything in this life, you must commit 10,000 hours to it. How many of us watch football? Football fans. You know, it's when we sit behind the TV or in the spectator stand that we know that we can play better than Ronaldo. We say that even my grandmother will score that goal. And then eventually, they now give you the ball. If you do not invest consciously in what you're doing, you cannot even be able to account for the failure moments which you will draw lessons from. So, you said you're a graphic designer. Beautiful. How good are you? And if you're good to what extent? What is the yardstick that you use to measure? You say you like to sing. Who are you benchmarking your capabilities as a singer with? Because what you cannot measure, you cannot improve. So, it is in this moment that you're also able to expose yourself to yourself. Self-awareness. And you see, if you don't try, you will never know. A lot of us have a lot of things marked in us. That is the circumstances that you eventually expose yourself to. That's why we say that a man is revealed upon himself. He doesn't change. This one, he got money, now he has changed. Change what? You didn't pay attention. That time when he didn't have anything, that it was 100 naira, didn't you pay attention to his character? Nobody changed. Just that now the money is more, so the tendencies are now more. So now you say you don't have 1,000 to contribute because all you have is 10,000. If only you had 1 million, it's a lie. You will not contribute. What you have not demonstrated tendencies at the most smallest of levels, forget it. You're deceiving yourself. You will never do it even when it comes with a full load in front of you. When the parable of the servants that were given talents was told, We could argue that the one with one talent, maybe in his own mind, and see, do away with entitlement. Are you hearing me? If you want to go further, scrub entitlement off your body completely. Because in this life, we are handed differently. And you are handed what you can handle per time. Because the truth is, if they give you more than you can handle, it will destroy you. I've said that. So you must, if you think that your capacity has been undermined, prove it. Like they say on the streets, show the workings. If you think that you are being underutilized in your workspace, show capacity so that your employer will know that there are better ways to engage you. Don't go ranting. Don't go and bury that one talent because you said they gave others 5, they gave others 3, and they gave you 1. Maximize that one that the person feels that only I wish I had started with him earlier. So your responsibility in the face of insufficiency is not to cry about it. It's to multiply it so that they see that if you give me more, I will do more. So for a lot of us, we go about complaining when we have an opportunity to use what we have immediately and show our capacity. But because we are so entitled to the system, we feel like, I could have done this better. So since they don't think, because if you don't show up, someone will show up. That is the thing we purpose. You think, if I'm not standing on this stage, if they sent me that letter, and I said, oh no, something is on my schedule, I won't be available. Who says this session will not hold? It will. I won't just be the one standing here. So you must know that. And when they collected, when the master collected that one talent, did he throw it away? What did he do with it? That's the reality. You're forming that they didn't treat you nice, so they will hand it to somebody else. And let me tell you what you're going to do. You're going to sit on the sidelines and watch another person shine. Talent is too abundant in this world. It's opportunities that are not. So if there's abundance of talents pursuing limited opportunities, everyone you get, you must use it to blow your trumpet, not complain about it. But if you want to complain, that trumpet will be collected and handed to someone else. And you must use the slightest opportunities to engage. What you do, practice is what makes perfect. And it's not by planning that you get clarity. It's by doing. It's by taking the first step that you're able to start seeing that, okay, these are the areas that we should improve on. Oh, this is how we could have done it better. Some of us are afflicted with the disease of extensive preparation, which translates to paralysis. You plan till you never execute. Some of you have been planning to start a business for the last 5 years. Some of you have been planning to do an online course for the last 2 years. Some of you planned reading a book. Since January of last year, the year ended, you didn't read that book. You must engage. It is in engagement that you get clarity. It is also in engagement that you're able to build that resilience. And I'm hammering on this subject matter of failure because young people, failure, you will fail. But it must not deter you. Because what counts is not your failure episodes. What counts is that one moment that eventually goes through. That's why we don't talk. Nobody talks about, you don't say that one moment of failure, this is the one that defined me. You say this is the one break. Eventually it happened. Edison's one moment eventually was the one that gave us the light bulb. So your failure episodes should keep fueling you forward. How did you now fail here and realize that there could have been a better way to do it? But for young people, sometimes we hold on to our babies too tightly. That idea, you hold it too tightly. And even though you know it's not working, you still bring the whole world on it. It will still fail. So when you fail, remove your emotions from it. What is the lesson there? And there's this thing we do in school. We used to say that if you come first, Shadrach, what position did you take? I took first position. If you now come 10th, or 15th, or 20th, Shadrach, what position did you take? They gave me 20th too. Own your failures as much as you own your success. As much as you are claiming ownership of this success, claim ownership. Let us see your battle scars. Let us see those moments when you cried yourself to sleep because you felt like you have hit the brick wall. Sometimes last year, no, not last year, 2 years ago, I was supposed to travel to the US. And I went for a conference in Jos. So as I was going, I had an accident, so I spent a lot of money to fix the car. That money was partly what I would use for my flight. So when I came back to Benue, I now told myself, well, since I have 48 hours in between my flight, which was going to be in Lagos, I will enter a vehicle from Makurdi to Abuja, and then use a night vehicle from Abuja to Lagos. And I will still have about 12 hours of rest time before my flight. Everything was going smoothly till we got to Kogi. Then we were notified that there was a robbery going on. They had to do a detour that was going to take us an extra 3 hours. It has eaten into my 12 hours, man. As we were going, a truck, as we were approaching Ekiti, a huge truck fell and blocked the entire road. There was no way any car could pass. Dead of the night. What did I say about social capital again? You see that thing where they say your network is your net worth. Cherish it with your life. This story is going somewhere. I saw that it was already 12 a.m. My flight was around, it was 12 a.m. My flight was around 11:30 a.m. in Lagos. At this time, I was stuck in Ekiti. We're now looking at the different options we would have. No vehicle at that time. Where would you get it from? I had my mentee who was there and a senior colleague who were currently in Ekiti at the time. Because when the time was moving, it was now 2 a.m. I opened my map, loaded up Ekiti to Lagos. Because if you're doing an intentional flight, at least you want to be in an airport at least 2 to 3 hours so that you have good time through the different checks. It's not the same thing as doing a local flight. I now went through this experience and I saw, 2 a.m., 3 a.m. At that point, I gave up. I called these two people back to back. They were not picking. They eventually now returned my call. This is where the hard part started. I needed a vehicle. They called the taxi. They were like unavailable, couldn't make it. Eventually, they now got somebody who was willing to come. Now, this is the exciting part. At that instance of my life, I was willing to pay ₦1 million to anybody that will move me from that place to the airport. It's the same me that wanted to save money. I was being penny wise, pound foolish. Let me just use the road so that I will save the money back. Eventually, I got a car. The car came. The guy charged me 180,000 naira in 2024 to move me from Ekiti to Lagos. That was the same flight ticket I would have bought flight for 1 hour, 15 minutes, or sometimes even 50 minutes from Abuja to Lagos. That is a lesson for something else. But what I is this. In your most darkest moments, after you have made those cries and prayers, the next thing you're going to look around is, who is around me that can show up? So you're that person who is just existing alone that you truly cannot pick your phone. I tell myself today that there's no state in Nigeria that I'll go to that I cannot call somebody. I've been to 30 out of the 36 states and FCT in this country. So I understand this country to a level where I don't need to have lived in a place for too long. I can think like them. So when I hear some hot takes about Nigeria, I just laugh. And I say, this one I know. You have never been anywhere. I was in a program in Lagos. This guy came. We were discussing morning breakfast before we proceed to the venue. And the guy was like, and believe me, when I'm eating, I mind my business. So this guy was saying, this country is a mess. There's nothing happening here. Guys, there's a difference between Nigeria and Nigerians. There's also a difference between Nigeria and the leaders that you have. If you do not learn how to separate it, if you're that person who takes the slightest opportunity to spite your country, you will not go far. It is easy to know. Some of you are looking for opportunities to go abroad, and if I'm reading your essays, you have said every bad thing you can think about Nigeria, and you think they will select you. Nobody will select you. It's not about painting that gory picture about what you know is not true, just because you want to get asylum or you want to be selected to leave the country. I tell people that I'm not in a hurry to leave Nigeria. Last year, I was, between a span of September to December, I had transversed like 8 different countries. Don't clap. Don't clap. This is not, I'm trying to tell you a story. I proudly tell people, do you know when I go to places, sometimes they don't know that a state exists like Benue State. Some people outside of Nigeria think Nigeria has only Abuja and Lagos. I'm telling you. Every single time you step out of your space, you are an ambassador, whether you have been sent on a mission or not. It is not an opportunity to go and use your system to advance at its expense. So if you have the behavior of going into rooms and the first thing is that you rubbish your country from head to toe, change. Your country is not your problem. Nigeria as a Nigerian is the only country that does not have a ceiling above your head. It doesn't matter whether you're in the US or in the UK or anywhere. There's a limit to which you grow, and you will never be able to grow beyond that. So instead of talking bad about your country, talk about the issues. Is there corruption? Yes. Is there poor education? Yes. Is there hunger? Yes. Then beyond talking about them, what can be done? That is the one people want to hear. Who told you we're in short of complainers? We're simply in short of doers. We're simply in short of people who have the capacity to move in their space and say, I know the problem is big, but let me start with this one man. And then we see the power of compounded effect taking action. So I told this young man as he was saying that thing, that let Nigeria just scatter and fight war. Then once the war starts, they will kill all these bad leaders, and then everything will end. I looked at them and I said, so you think that being a young person qualified automatically makes you a good leader? I've met a lot of young crooks. They are young, full-blooded crooks. They have nothing good to offer. So being a young man in itself has no consequence if you have nothing to offer. So it still comes back to what I'm saying. Learn and learn fast. So that you position yourself and you stop saying that you should be given chance because no one will give you a chance because you're a young person. And the idea around leadership is that it is not handed down. It is earned. You earn it. As we wind down, I'm sure this is why you're standing here. We're winding down. Our evening session is going to focus on speaking about how you're going to actively implement all of this. But these are the 4 reflections I would use and wrap up. I started by telling you that a mind is the standard of a man. If you have a small mind but you are tall, you're simply a tall fool. If you have a sound mind but you're short, it doesn't matter, the world will see you. Your environment will play any role in undermining or reducing you to the extent to which you comply with it. So do not project your life or the leader in you based on the circumstances that you're facing. I shared an instance also on a session I was anchoring yesterday. And I said to them that if you can see it in your mind, it can happen. In 2010, Abraham Lincoln is such a leader that has transformed my life. The 16th president of the United States of America died long, long ago, but one of the most transformational leaders that the world has ever seen. In 2010, I pictured myself in Washington, D.C., in the U.S., standing in front of the Lincoln Memorial. 2010. I lived that reality in 2023. So you must cultivate your mind with all seriousness so that it reflects the kind of reality that you want to be able to live in. You must understand that leadership has nothing to do with titles. And that some of the most effective leaders we will see on earth will probably never had a title tied to them, because how many of us will be governors and presidents? Is it that we're not qualified? We are. But we must find our place in this world to know that even though I do not end up in an office, this is how I can effectively contribute to making the system better. Then you must embrace self-awareness. Anybody who is not self-aware will not go far. You must learn to read your environment. What are the times saying? What is the future looking? How can I effectively position myself in 2026 so that when I reflect at the end of the year, I will say, thank God I sat in this conference today. And I'm not talking about having a jumbo list of 2026 New Year resolutions. I'm talking about intentional planning where you say, I want to lock this in, and by the end of this year, I want to be the top 1% in this space. Then take ownership of your growth. And I'm saying this, no one owes you anything. Don't misinterpret this wrongly. There's a responsibility people have to you. But eventually, who you become in life is 100% within you. Then integrity. No matter how high you build a castle of competence, if you do not reinforce it with integrity, it will crumble. So embrace the kind of reality that you want to be able to live in. Paint that picture of who you want to be at the end of the day. Put in the work, the process that builds you into a formidable leader. Because if we're talking leadership, if we're talking responsibility, and then eventually when we start talking about influence, all of them are connected together. But they must start from somewhere. So remember what I've said. Your mind is your standard. Your environment is very circumstantial and temporal. So make sure you don't plan your life simply because of your current reality. How far have you casted your vision of the level of influence you want to make? It might not seem like it. And the story of a seed, this is where I'll wind down, is this. The seed does not doubt itself. The seed knows that if I am dropped in the right ground, I will blossom. It is not the seed's responsibility to convince those outside that it has potential. Be that seed that knows its worth. Stop this unending craze of trying to show people that you can do it. If you can do it, you don't have to say it. And if you are struggling so hard to say it, then perhaps something is missing. Thank you very much.